Okay, let's go into the Haggadah itself on page 94. The Haggadah makes a statement which is very intriguing. We're going to look at 4 or maybe 5 ways to understand this one piece of Haggadah. And the Haggadah says, B'chol dor v'dor, in each and every generation, Chayav Adam, a person is obligated, lirot et atzmo, to see themselves, Ki'ilu hu yatsa Misraim, thank you, as though you left Egypt. That's the statement of the Haggadah. The Haggadah is now going to quote the Torah to back up its point. Well, first of all, what was its point? That every single person, every generation, not just the generation that left Egypt, has to see themselves as though they left Egypt. Jordana Alpert, have you been to Egypt before?
My dad was born there.
Your dad was born in Egypt?
Yes.
Where? Alexandria?
No. Cairo.
Cairo. There was a big Jewish population there.
Yeah, they got kicked out.
They did get kicked out. Right, after the state of Israel was founded. About 1 million Sephardim actually kicked out of Muslim lands after 1948. The Persians came a little bit later.
I went to Switzerland.
They came in 1979, your family, after the Shah was deposed, your family, from
Actually,
Iran.
my mom came in '94. She went to LA.
That's,
And my dad came in '86.
that's off the boat, that is, wow.
Yeah, she really
OTB. OTB.
No,
Well, according to this, you're going to have to have been, so your father, Raquel, he actually can fulfill this. But what about the rest of us? B'chol dor v'dor, every single generation, every person has to see themselves as though they left Egypt. Right? Where does the Haggadah get this from? Follow inside. Shine'emar, v'higadata levincha. You have to tell your children, v'higadata, that's where the word Haggadah comes from, to tell over. We're going to see this one of the mitzvah doraises, the Torah obligations of the Pesach Seder night, to tell your children the story of the Haggadah. And if you have no children, whoever is present, we'll see that later on. So v'higadata levincha, b'yomahu, on this day, le'emor, ba'avor zeh, because of this. What is this?
Remembering.
Actually, zeh, when you see the word zeh, somebody is pointing at something. It's because of the mitzvot, the matzah and the maror, and all the bits and pieces on the table. We're going to talk about all of them. Got to win next time. Because of this, asa Hashem li, what Hashem did for me, but Zaytim in Misraim, when He took me out of Egypt. Why is that the proof that you have to see yourself as though you left Egypt? Why is that pasuk brought down? Look inside. Why is that brought down? Somebody? Anybody? It's in the first person.
Where are you?
I'm in the Passover Haggadah.
No, I'm saying, oh, the person?
What
Yeah.
page is that?
And you brought us.
Everyone's like slow on the uptake today. Okay, hi, my name is Rabbi Lawrence Hadjov. This is Stern College for Women, Basic Jewish Concepts 2, the sequel. We're on Passover right now. We're on page 94. We just read the first piece of Passover Haggadah. We're now going to read the Pasuk. And the Pasuk says...
Wait, what's the proof though?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What's the proof?
Oh, no, you just read it.
I did just read it. I want you to tell me what it is.
Is it the one that says, and he brought us out from there so he could give us...
Not yet. We're not there yet. We'll start again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Follow inside. Put your finger inside. Ariella? Fantastic. B'chol dor v'dor. In each and every generation. Chayav Adam, a person is obligated, lirot et atzmo, to see himself, ki'ilu hu yatsa Misraim, that he left Egypt. So when you tell the Pesach story, you have to see yourself as though you left Egypt. Okay. Now the Haggadah is going to bring a proof from the Torah to prove this. Now it's going to quote a piece of the Torah. As it says, V'higadata levincha, you have to tell your children, Bayomahu, on that day, Lemor, saying, Ba'avor zeh, because of this, because of the parts of the table, Seder table, Asa Hashem li, which Hashem did for me, but Zaytim Misraim, when He took me out of Egypt. You got it? Any clearer?
Yeah. So it's in the first person.
It's in the first person.
The
The Torah pasuk is in the first person. The Haggadah says that's literal. When it says, I also got out of Egypt, it means that I am obligated to see myself as though I left Egypt. Fantastic. Lo et avoteinu bilvad gal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't think, says now back into the Haggadah, don't think that it's just our forefathers and foremothers bilvad alone, Gal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem took out, Ela af otanu, but also us, Ga'alimahem. We were redeemed with them. The Haggadah is taking this idea literally. It wasn't just them who left, it was us who left as well. Shnei Mar, as it says, and it quotes another pasuk because it's a big statement. Va'otanu hotzi misham, and we were taken out of there. Laman, in order. Heviotanu letet lanu et haaretz asher nishba l'avotenu, to give us the land of Eretz Yisrael, in parentheses, that was promised to our forefathers. The Haggadah is saying, and bringing out two pesukim to prove this point, that every person is obligated to see themselves as though they left Egypt, because actually, you did leave Egypt. What exactly is this verse talking about?
Our souls.
Okay, possibly. Let's have a look. Okay, so the word over here is, right, you did it wrong. Everyone has to see themselves as though they left Egypt. Let's do a few answers to this very famous question of why and how a person is obligated to see themselves as though they left Egypt. The first one we did already, but we're going to plug it in over here. And this was Rabbi Dessler's idea. And Rabbi Dessler, well, actually over here, Rav Chaim Friedland is going to bring it down. And he says every year, Begia Laila Bo, when you reach this night, Yotzanu Mitzrayim Aleinu Letalos Ledarga Shel Yotzi Mitzrayim. We reach the level of those people as the Exodus reoccurs every year to relive the freedom. And he quotes the Haggadah, a person has to see themselves as though they left Egypt. And what happens is you strengthen, he says, the sense of freedom within you by relating to the miracles that happened and to talk about them. So he says, you reach this time of year. It's the time of year. Remember this idea? The time of year is the time of freedom, is freedom time, Zaman Cheretenu, is freedom time. So when you reach this time of year, it's not that you left Egypt. I've never been to Egypt. I have no plans of even going to Egypt. But this time of year of Leil Seder is the time of the Exodus. So they went free at that time. I go free at that time as well. And therefore, that is freedom time. It's as though I'm leaving Egypt. I have to see myself as though I'm leaving. Not physically in Egypt, obviously. It's the time itself. Okay. Are we clear on that? Questions, thoughts, comments? That's what he's saying. You discuss it, you talk about it. The Haggadah Levincha, he says. The Torah says. You discuss this idea of freedom. Now you've reached that level. On Pesach, it's as though you've left because it's freedom time.
So we reach their level of freedom.
Yes, we reach the level of freedom because the time itself is the time of freedom. It's Zman Cheretenu. Okay? It's Zman Cheretenu. When you reach this time of Zman, it's as though you're going free. Which means that you do go free. And you are going free. And that's how you can see yourself as leaving Egypt, although it happened many generations ago. That piece of God is telling me that, yeah, Taki, you are leaving Egypt. Not physically, but spiritually, the same way they got out, you get out as well. Okay, that's good. Okay. Turn over the page. That's Rav Dessler's answer. Okay, based upon the Kabbalists and Rav Friedland. Let's have a look at a Rambam. The Rambam does something very, very interesting. He actually changes one word when he quotes this in the halachot of Pesach Seder. Turn over the page, note 5. He says, "B'chol dor v'dor chayv adam larot et atzmo kihiru hu ba'atzmo yatsa ata mishibur Mitzrayim." Every generation, a person has seen themselves as though they themselves now have left Egypt. That's the Rambam. He's saying, note 5, Shnei Amar va'otanu simisham. He's going to quote the same passage that Haggadah does. We were taken out of there. V'al davar zeh, and because of this, Tziva Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah, Hashem commands us in the Torah, it's a Torah mitzvah. V'zacharta, remember, Ki ever hita, that you were a slave. Klomar, Ilu ata ba'atzmacha hita eved. It's as though you yourself were a slave. V'yatzata lecherut v'navita. And Hashem took you out and redeemed you. What did he change over there? He changed something very interesting. He changed one word that's quoted in Haggadah. Now, but the idea of now is still prevalent. What word did he change? He added an extra letter. Look inside. Look inside the Rambam. He changed one letter.
Ata, ayin.
No, ata means now, with an I. Anyone see it? He changes lirot to laharot. That's correct. What's the difference between lirot and laharot? Lirot and laharot. What's lirot? What's lirot?
To see?
To see. What's laharot? To appear. To show. To show. Say the commentators, the Rambam actually is understanding this idea of chayav adam, lirot et atzmo kirus Mitzrayim. A person has to see themselves as though leave Egypt. To laharot et atzmo. You have to display. You have to show yourself as though you left Egypt. What does that mean? You have to show yourself as though you left Egypt. You have to physically do what? How do you physically appear as though you left Egypt?
Oh, the Pesach matzah.
All the stuff that we do at the Pesach Seder, whether it's halacha or minhag, and there's many wonderful minhagim customs we see when it comes to Pesach, is a person showing themselves. Give me some examples of this.
Eating matzah.
Eating matzah. What else? Leaning. We lean, heseva. We eat the matzah. We drink wine. Wine is only drunk by people who are free. Right? Slaves don't. We read the Haggadah. Right? Those are the mitzvot, and there's a few others as well. We eat the maror. All the various things we do to show that we are free people. We're going to laharot et atzmo. We're going to act it out. But as well as that, there are many customs that we do to act this out. Any Moroccans here? Who are the Moroccans? What do you do when you Pesach Seder?
We do a lot of weird things.
A lot of weird things. They're not weird, Sabrina. They are wonderful traditions handed down from your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. The Hacham back in Morocco. What do you do?
I don't know, like
You do know.
we do this one thing with the matzah, with the plate,
Yeah.
and then we like sing this song.
You sing a song in Arabic,
Yeah.
and you pass the plate over
Yeah.
the heads.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, when you use the matzah over your brush.
Some people take the matzah on their shoulder. Not everyone does that.
Or
No. Where are you from? You're
Syrian and Egypt.
Syrian. That's what Syrians and Egyptians do that. That's right. They put the matzah on the shoulder and they speak it out and they act it out and they pass it over the head. That's right. Where are you from?
Russian.
Okay.
I was gonna say, don't they like also after Pesach they have like this ritual at night? It's called like.
That's the Moroccans do mamona, right? That's after Pesach. But look at the actual Pesach itself. Well, Pesach itself. What else do they do? Anybody else jump over water?
Yeah. Oh no, we.
My family hits each other with scallions.
I'm going to tell you why in a second.
It's the sleeve.
I'll tell you why. But why scallions? I'll tell you that in a second.
I
Hold
don't
on.
know,
Hold
they
on.
put it on a show, like,
Ariella,
they chose
I'm
the
gonna
worst
tell you.
smelling thing in the world.
Before the Greeks start
Sabrina, what else do you do?
We do this like for a woman to get married. It's like the weirdest thing. This is like I think this is just my family. It's like
It's not weird. trust me.
Go
Oh,
on.
we do a lot of weird things also.
Probably is weird. Go on.
so when you know how you do like the dom spardea or whatever.
Yes.
So
Oh, yeah.
a non-married woman's supposed to like do it and like. What's her, like
I've heard that before. That's
I don't
interesting.
know.
Nothing.
Interesting.
Why?
Actually, where do you,
I
where
don't
do
know why. I just do
okay,
it.
we're going to come to that.
I
There's
don't
different
know.
customs where you pour into a cup. Ashkenazis with their finger. We pour into an old cup and we throw it down the toilet or something
you
or in
throw
the
it down
sink.
toilet.
Right, you don't.
What
That's
I do
like
with my
poisoned
finger,
water.
you put it on the mat.
Ashkenazis do pinky. A lot of Sfardim don't do pinky actually. Right. So what does your family do, Ariella? They hit each other with scallions.
Yeah.
Has
so
anyone
like,
seen this before?
I don't know, like.
So, Dan,
which
you've seen this
part,
before?
but
No, I'm like,
it
no
goes
weird
down.
customs.
What?
Like I don't know which part in the Seder, but like at one
It's
point.
during Dayenu.
Yes,
during Dayenu, Ariella.
Yes,
Oh
Dayenu.
no. They go around.
But I escaped. don't
Why do
worry.
they do that? You do that as well? Of course you do that. Why do that, Rachel?
I don't know.
We don't
So
know.
one answer is I'm going to tell you. Because there's a reason for all these customs. Just got to know what the reason is. One reason is because it's to demonstrate the Dayenu right. They were hitting each other, the slavery, the servitude. Another is actually in Pasha Bahalotcha, where the Jewish people complained to Moshe Rabbeinu about the lack of good food. And they said, we want to go back to Mitzrayim. Remember that? We want to go, why do we go back to Mitzrayim? Because in Mitzrayim they had all the good food. They had the avatiach, the melons back there, they had the basar, they had the dagim, the fish and the meat. And they had the shum, the garlic, and they had the batzal, the onions. So we take the onions they complained about, and we hit to say, this is what you wanted, this is what you want to go back to Mitzrayim for. You want to go back for a nice, good meal, and then we hit them with that item. Why do we do with a watermelon? Because you kill your baby if you did that, with one in the smack in the head, right? So that's why you don't do that, right? So that is what we do. Any other customs?
Or in the wine for every macaron, the bowl, and then
I think that's pretty much everyone has that as well. But in terms of freedom,
Family, I don't know, we wear all white, or maybe
that's a Jewish custom. Many people wear white. Ashkenaz also wear the kittel. The father wears the kittel of the Pesach Seder as well, right? There's many customs. We don't do this. Well, that's because you fall asleep. That's why.
No.
Oh, you got to lean. To lean. The pillow's to lean. Yeah, to lean. Right? Everyone's got to lean. Heseba is actually a mitzvah of the Seder itself. So that's the Rambam. The Rambam is saying, laharo. You have to show yourself. You have to act it out. You're talking about it, but you're also acting it out. All of these customs that we have and all the mitzvah on the table is actually fulfilling this idea. B'chol dovador chayav adam lirot et atzmo kilu yosem Mitzrayim. You have to see yourself as though you left Egypt. You don't have to be like Rakel Saba's Abba, who actually was in Egypt and left. You have to experience it. So that's two answers over there. Okay? Now where did it come from? It actually comes from the Gemara. The Gemara itself in Pesachim, which is where the Haggadah gets it from, bottom of page 95. B'chol dor dor chayav adam lerot et atzmo kilu yosem Mitzrayim shneimar v'garata b'yom hahu le'mo bava zeh Hashem. Says Gemara, Amar Rava tzarich sheyomar v'otanu otzi misham. You have to say, he took us out from there. He took us out. Let's have a look at a deeper, spiritual, if you will, or Kabbalistic answer to this question. This is answer number 3. And this is on page 96 in the side. And I think all of you have heard this idea at one point in your lives, but let's see it inside.
Where are you, Talmud?
Bottom of page 96, the Midrash on Parshat Nitzavim, the Midrash Lekach Tov. He says, actually, you were, you know 7. You were actually in Egypt. Not your body, but your soul, your neshama. Amalem Moshe Yisrael, Bova Gidlachem Al Kama Yitzivat Yitziyavtem. Let me tell you about how many places you stood. B'tchil Aliyam. First you had the Yam, and then you stood at, you saw Hashem's salvation. Then you went to receive the Torah. Then you went to the mountain, and you were standing there. Says the Midrash, V'dau lachem. Ki gam ha-meitim v'gam dorot ha'atidim lavo rucham nishmatam nitzavim po. When it says nitzavim hayom, you're all standing over here, kulchem. It means all of you, not just all of you physically who were there with Moshe Rabbeinu, but every single neshama, every nefesh, through all the generations, were present at Yetzias Mitzrayim, at Kriyas Yamsuf, and at Har Sinai.
You were present at what?
Yes.
Happen if you converted.
Great question. I'm going to come to converts a little bit later. There's a very fascinating answer to that question. Because one thing we're going to notice is that if a person converts, do they say this? When a person converts, you have a non-Jew, right? Like, you know, that video recently of the Chinese guy who became Jewish?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen that?
No.
Go to my Facebook page and look at that video. It's a 3-minute video. It's an unbelievable video. Unbelievable. Really, it's a beautiful video. So a person who comes from China, no, he came from China, lives in Eretz Yisrael. He went from China to Israel. A person becomes Jewish. He grew up in China, he becomes Jewish. Does he say these words? Does he say that my ancestors were slaves in Egypt, they were taken out?
No.
Yes.
Wrong.
Yes, no, I don't know. That's great. The answer is absolutely. When a person converts to Judaism, they become mechuyev in all the mitzvahs, and they say this exact lashon. They say that my ancestors, they don't change. There's no special Haggadah for converts. They become 100% Jewish. Now, there's various answers to that. One answer is going to be, well, they become part of the Jewish nation. So when they're speaking as part of the Jewish nation. They're not speaking about themselves, obviously, because their ancestors weren't there. They were in China, I don't know, Beijing, or they're in France, or Russia, wherever they were. They're actually speaking themselves. The other answer is, actually, every soul that even was going to convert was at Yetzias Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf, Har Sinai.
I heard that converts were born with a Jewish soul.
There is such an idea. There is such an idea. They won't because they have to convert, but there's something there that they have to do it. By the way, where do the converts come from, by the way? It's famous commentary on this. Avraham Avinu and Sarah Imenu converted a number of people, right? They made lots of nefashot. Where do they go, those souls? All the people Avraham Avinu influenced, Sarah Imenu influenced, where do they go? They didn't become Jewish. Only the descendants became Jewish.
Right.
Where did they left? They left Haran, left Ur Kasdim, right? And then only the Jewish people come through Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Only their actual descendants. So what about all these people? So my opinion is, right then they didn't become Jews. They became monotheists. But later on, this is Kabbalah, the neshamas will be Megalgal, will be reincarnated, and those are the original souls that Avraham Avinu impacted, that stood at Har Sinai as well, as it were. They weren't there physically, because only the descendants got. And they're the actual future Jews you see in future generations. Actually, one opinion is that Sarah Imenu actually nursed many children after she gave birth to Yitzchak, and all those children actually became converted later on in future generations. So that could answer the convert idea. However, the Jewish people, our neshamas were there. It's Kabbalah. So that's the third answer. When it says you have to see something you left Egypt, you have to see that your soul, this is Kabbalah, your neshama, all the neshamot from later generations were present. They were there.
And where? Yamsuf, Matan Torah.
All of them. Kriyas Yamsuf, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf, and Matan Torah. All of them. That's what he says. All right. Says the Siva Shalom. Look at note 8. Uvezeh muvuar, and that's how we understand Inyan B'chol Dor V'Dor. You have to memorize a piece of Haggadah, by the way.
Which part?
One I'm reading about 5 times. B'chol Dor V'Dor Chayav Adam L'rot Et Atzmo Kihilu Yotza Mitzrayim. Shelachora, he says, Ech be'emet yira Adam et atzmo kach. How are you honestly meant to see yourself as though you did it? Ela shebe'emet, the truth is, Kenhu, this is true, Shekol HaNeshamat HaYusham Be'etis Mitzrayim, all future souls of every Jewish person were present when we left Egypt. That means you see yourself, you experience it, because actually you are re-experiencing it, because your soul was there. You hear? And then he carries on, let's see Shalom. This is Kabbalah. Right? Every soul was there. You can feel you're re-experiencing that original delivery from Mitzrayim. The Yesh Od Madarga Nosef. There's another idea, another Madrega which is added to this. Every single year, Mitchadeshet, Bechina Isim Mitzrayim, this aspect of coming out of Egypt reappears B'layla Hazeh, right? Leil Shemurim.
Were you 9?
Yes, it's just a continuation. This is actually really note 1, but this is his version of it. Nimsa sheyesh b'layla zeh two binyanim. There's 2 inyanim. Yisim Mitzrayim Klalit, right? Sheba Yukon Sheba Yisrael Shebchol Dorot. Every single soul of every generation was actually there. Ubechin Yisim Mitzrayim et Chadesh B'chol Shana Shana B'Leil Pesach. Actually, that original Leil Pesach reappears every year. It's the same Leil Pesach that comes back every single year. V'nei Amr Chazal, Rabbi tell us, B'schut Emunah, it is in the merit of the faith, Nig'alu V'teinu Mitzrayim, only those people that had great faith in Hashem left Egypt, because remember, most didn't believe that it was going to be a good thing to do. They stayed in Mitzrayim. Only 20% left, remember? So they had great faith in Hashem. They were willing to leave Mitzrayim with all its food, all its plentiness, although they were slaves, and go out into a desert, the Lozerua, an unseeded desert. Right? The prophets greatly praised them, laud them for this. And this idea of having faith in God, that's going to be the source of the future redemption. And because of coming out of Egypt, they have the merit of the emunah is what gave them the merit. Kach geula Mitzrayim shebechol shana v'shana. So true. Every single year, you get to come out of Egypt, your own personal slavery in Egypt, b'schut emunah, through your own personal faith in Hashem. And the whole Pesach Seder is actually there to help you build the faith. You discuss it, you talk about it, and that builds faith in Hashem. Why? Hashem did it for them. Hashem did it for us. Hashem did miracles then. Hashem does miracles for us. The whole creation, the whole formula of the Pesach Seder is really to build emunah in ourselves. And we're going to see in 2 classes' time, in our children. That's a very big aspect. Because the Pesach Seder is all about the kids. Sukkot is not. Yom Kippur is not. Shavuot is not. Pesach is. We'll see why Pesach specifically is about children and engaging them in the process. But one of the key parts of that is emunah, having faith. We want to build our faith. This is the emunah building holiday. This is the holiday we build faith in Hashem. Haynu b'koach emunah habehira she'ayudi mamin shebechol shana yesh Mitzrayim. Every single year I leave Egypt. That is my faith. Keep it al Pesach. Yachol lehishtanot mazalah mira le'afer. A person is able to change the mazal from bad to good. Hashem is able to. We're waiting for another geula, remember, right? We want the third geula to come to us, right? We want, as in the third base ministry to come to us, and the second geula, the second redemption from Mitzrayim, to happen in the days of Mashiach. We'll see that half the Seder is all about Mashiach. The latter part of the Seder, we're going to see, we're going to get there. I promise you, Miss Hashem. That we're going to see the latter part is all about Mashiach. Half the Seder is about that redemption, and the latter half, right? I mean, some parts you know, right? Eliyahu Navi, the kosher Eliyahu, part of that is the future, because he's going to be the one to tell us the Mashiach has come, right? We let Eliyahu Navi into the door, into the house. Why? He's got nowhere else to go, because we want him to tell us about the future redemption. So that redemption, Mitzrayim, is deeply connected to the future redemption, and the connecting tissue between both is emunah, is faith. Okay? That we're going to see. So that's the ultimate redemption. And it's also the redemption of the neshama. Okay, so there's a number of redemptions that are happening over here. And all of them must stem from this idea. You have to see yourself as though you left Egypt. Because you're leaving Egypt now. And he carries on page 97. V'achiv l'rot atatzmo, ki'il hu yatzam Mitzrayim, hi min ha'avdut ha'kashot v'ha'kriyot v'avodat seder mitzvot alei l'kodesh baruch hu. The obligation to view yourself as the person left Egypt is one of the most difficult yet central requirements. This is really what the Pesach Seder is all about. Everything you do, eating the matzah and leaning and drinking the wine, and before Pesach, clearing out the chametz and eating the matzah and all the rest of it, and talking and speaking the Haggadah and discussing and singing, all of it really is to help you do this. Build you in faith in Hashem, that you feel as though you left Egypt and you will eventually be redeemed again. Lahamin b'behirat shebechol shana v'shana hu mamash yisem Mitzrayim. You are literally leaving Egypt. Ki'ilu yatsa at ha-Mitzrayim. That's the Rambam, remember? I'm leaving Egypt now, says the Rambam. I got to get out. K'di'itan sheloshan chayav mashmato ad kedei mesir nefesh. Right? You're willing to completely self-sacrifice yourself for this. V'chol kama shmachdir b'toch et amunah v'sharta b'havet, and saying this is really in the present, to tell you that this is really your soul. Your soul is going free. Okay? I want to add 2 more, which are not brought down, but they're kind of referenced over here. We'll do Rashi first of all. Rashi gives his interpretation on that piece of Gemara we saw in the Siddur Shal Rashi. And Rashi says, this is more of Peshat level. See yourself as though you left Egypt, because had they not left Egypt, your great-great-great-great-grandparents, where would you be? Miss Pridemore, had your great-grandparents not left Egypt, going back 1800, where would you be? You're still there, right? You'll be Pridemore, you'd be, I don't know, Abdullah or something, I don't know. You find some other name. So Rashi's interpretation is, it's just a recognition of gratitude. It's gratitude. Feel yourself to left Egypt, because had they not left, you would still be in Egypt. Had they not been taken out, you would still be there. You would still be there. Okay? That's the 4th interpretation. Feel yourself as though you left, because had they not left, you'd still be there. So it's as though you left. That's Rashi in his Siddur. Number 5, which I did bring down in the book because it's a long piece, but it's a beautiful piece. I'm going to do it for you outside. And it comes from Rav Shimon Schwab. Rabbi Shimon Schwab, he was a rabbi who lived in Germany and escaped and moved to Washington Heights and started the whole community, KJ community of Washington Heights. He gives an incredible understanding of this. And I want you to listen and write it down. Okay, and try to understand it because none of these there. He says like this. He says the obligation to see yourself as you left Egypt, and this is the 5th and final one we're going to look at, actually is literal. You left Egypt. He says, just as the Haggadah says it, just as the Torah says it, take that literally. How could that be? How could I literally see myself as I left Egypt because I've never been to Egypt? And he says that the fact that we can't imagine it so readily shows that we don't fully understand what the Jewish people means. When we say the Jewish people, we're saying something very, very specific. And if you understand what the Jewish people are, this idea would be absolutely clear to you as anything. I'm giving the answer here.
Wait, so it means that we can't understand what?
The fact that we can't understand that we left Egypt
Yeah.
means that we don't understand what the Jewish... If you understand what the Jewish people actually means, being part of the Jewish people, being part of Am Yisrael, if you understand that, it'll be very clear to you. And he says like this. He says that the Jewish people aren't past, present, and future, different beings. We are Ish Echad, Belev Echad. That's how we're described in the Torah at Har Sinai. Ish Echad, Belev Echad. One person with one soul. One person, and many times in the Torah as well, but also outside in rabbinic writings, we're described as one nation. Am Echad. And it goes like this. Check this out. Here's the metaphor that he gives. Or this is close to it. Let's pick on someone over here. Okay, Jordana.
Yeah.
Imagine I showed you a photo of yourself as a one-day-old baby. And I said, this is you. And you'd be like, how do you know? Does it look like you? No. Does it sound like you?
I don't know.
Probably not. You weren't speaking so well at 1 day old. Okay. Do you remember being 1 day old?
No.
Weird, right? So you have this part of your life, and we all have it, where I can look at this picture, this photo, and it doesn't sound like me. I don't remember it. I have no recollection. Actually, the body's completely changed. All the cells are complete different size. So how do I know that's me? But it was you. The fact you don't remember it, doesn't look like you, sound like you, doesn't make it any less you. The fact that all the cells have changed in, 7 years or something, and you're completely different size, shape, completely not recognizable, and no memory of it, you still can't, maybe on a DNA level, if I took DNA of the baby, took DNA of you, I could see it. So on some deep, deep level, you can see it, even physically, there's some trace of it, but otherwise there's not. He says that's exactly the same with the Jewish people. The Jewish people were born when they left Egypt. That was our birth. I don't remember it. That's okay. I don't remember being a 1 day old baby. But they don't look like me. That's okay. You don't look like yourself as a 1 day old baby either. Doesn't smell like me, sound like me. I don't remember it. Nothing to do with it. See, the Jewish people aren't past and present beings. They're one large, developing, organic whole that lasts right through history. We were born when we left Egypt. That was us as a baby. That was you. You don't remember it because you're seeing yourself as a separate creature. But actually that was you. The Jewish people are really one organic fluid whole that travel for thousands of years of Jewish history in different parts of the world and different parts of history. But it's still you. He actually brings a proof for this by the fact that when the Jewish people went into Mitzrayim, they were referred to as how many people entered into Mitzrayim? Anybody know? How many souls the Torah tells us went into Egypt? What was the amount of Jewish souls went into Egypt? Jewish people went into Egypt. What was the amount? 70. Shivim nefesh is the Torah. Shivim nefesh. That's weird. It should be shivim nefashot. Should be plural. It doesn't say that. It says shivim nefesh. You know what they say? They were like one soul. There was one being. We separated out. But the separation is not the natural state. The natural state is a oneness. That oneness actually spans Jewish history. So his answer is actually mind-blowing. It turns your brain to guacamole. Really, that's us. We left Egypt. You don't remember it? No problem. If you want to take a DNA swab of them, right, take a swab of you, it could be you find some trace of yourself there as well. Just like you do of a baby. Great answer, right? It's a whole different way to look at the Jewish people. So when it says you left Egypt, he says literally you. He says the other nations are not described that way. Esav and his family are referred to as nefashot, as souls, different beings, not connected. Our natural state is connected, and we have organically just moved ourselves forward. So you can sit there on Pesach night, in true form and say, I left Egypt. No, not this form of me, an earlier form of me, which is still me. If you were taken out as a baby somewhere, you can say, I was taken out. I don't remember it, I don't feel it, I have no recollection of it. That's irrelevant. That was still you. So us as a nation, as an Am, that's how you're seeing it. I left Egypt, that means as a nation, I left. Okay? That's the deep idea of Rabbi Shimon Schwab. He brings down in his Sefer, Mein Beis HaShoeva, on this point. What a different and incredible novel way of looking at the Jewish people. Now we understand, by the way, why it's so bad, where we're separate, we're arguing, because you're arguing with yourself. When we're not unified, you're not part of the Jewish people. Right? And you go into Galus, and you get kicked out, and all the bad stuff happens. All of that comes from disunity. We'll see the Pesach Seder is all about unity. Right? Families coming together, poor people coming to a table, people who don't know what Pesach is, people who can't afford, poor people, right? That's such a major part. We're unifying the people. We're going back to the original state of the original Pesach. So a strong theme of the Pesach Seder is inviting people to your Seder table. Otherwise, just do it by yourself. So a major part of the Pesach Seder as well is therefore Thanksgiving. The Jewish Thanksgiving is Pesach. And that's on page 97. As it says in the Pesach Haggadah, had HaKadosh Baruch Hu not taken us from there, v'ilo hotzianu b'baruch es avateinu Mitzrayim, hari anu banenu, us, and our sense of v'nei banenu, shabadim hayinu b'paro b'Mitzrayim, then we, our children, will still be enslaved in Egypt. V'afilu kulanu chachamim, you could be smart, nevonim, kulanu zakenim, kulanu yodim et Torah, mitzvah aleim, no matter how smart you are, no matter who brilliant you are, you could be a prophet, makes no difference. Mitzvah leilu saper b'yetzias Mitzrayim. It's a mitzvah discussed coming out of Egypt. V'chol hamarbe, and whoever increases l'saper, to speak about it, harizah meshubach. In other words, you could have heard the story tens of times before. It's still a mitzvah. Gratitude is not just, oh, we did this last year. Come on. Why don't we do it every single year? Well, two answers. One answer is because it's happening every year. But another answer is because you show gratitude. Once a year, you stop and show gratitude that your ancestors were taken out. Because had they not been taken out, you'd still be there. That's what Haggadah is telling us. Right? So a major chunk of the Haggadah, as we see, is our absolute gratitude. And actually the entire Dayenu prayer, what's Dayenu? Dayenu. Right? Had been enough for us. We are grateful for every single step that the Jewish people, that our ancestors went through. So Dayenu is actually a declaration of gratitude that we have, that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. Are we good? Let's review those 5 answers. Because we're going to need them for our final and for the Pesach Seder. The Haggadah tells us, go back. We're going to finish with this. This is all I want to do today. Doesn't seem like much, but this is really the root of the entire Pesach Seder. We start, and now you understand it better. Every single generation, b'chol dor v'dor, chayav adam, a person is obligated. It's a chiyuv. It's not an option. Lirot et atzmo, to see yourself, kilu hu yasam Yisrael, that you left Egypt. That's what the Haggadah says. Where does the Haggadah get it from? The Gemara. Okay, fine. So where does the Gemara get it from? From the Torah. Where does it say in the Torah? So the Haggadah quotes a pasuk and says, Shneimar, v'higadat levincha. Talk to your children. Why children? We're going to see. They're a major part of this. Passing this on to the next generation is a major theme of Pesach Seder. Okay, fine. Bayom Haho, on this day. What does this day mean? On Pesach. The mitzvah of telling of the Haggadah is on Pesach. When? When all the stuff is in front of you. Bavor zeh. When do you say the Haggadah over? You can say any time of the year. You don't know from the pasuk when you say it over. You say it when the mitzvot of Pesach, the matzah, the maror, the wine, is all in front of you. The wine is actually rabbinic. But the matzah is in front of you. Bavor zeh. So we know the Haggadah is connected to the zeh. The zeh is the matzah. And the Seder plate. So we know that this Haggadah, this telling over of the story of Mitzrayim, is a Torah mitzvah when the matzah is in front of you. When is the matzah in front of you? Oh, that much we know. Because the Torah tells us we eat matzah on that day. So we know that's Pesach, that's Leil Seder. Okay? So it says, Hayu lemor bavo zeh. Asali. Now it becomes first person. What do you mean asali? Right? Asalahem. Why li? But say Ti Mitzrayim, first person. Then that Haggadah says, you see? It wasn't just our ancestor left Egypt, we were redeemed with them. Shneimar, as it says, we were taken out of there. Where we were taken out to go to Eretz Yisrael. So the pasuk is telling us we were taken out to go to Eretz Yisrael, but we were taken out. We were taken out. So we looked at 5 possible answers to the idea of we were taken out, because whatever it is, it's an obligation. The first answer we looked at was Rav Dessler, and Rav Friedlander brought it down. He was like, okay, fine. You literally weren't taken out, but there is a time of year that is open for you to go free. Right? That is the Zman. The Zman, the time is freedom time. So when it says you go free, it means that you can go free. You have the ability to tap into that energy of freedom, as we said before. Right? That's the freedom time. Okay? You should feel it. Oh, that's such a sick answer. We'll see that in a second. Then we look to the Rambam. The Rambam says lirot is actually laharot. Laharot is to display. Don't see yourself as you left Egypt, but to express it, to show it. You're going to do stuff. You're going to lean, drink the wine, eat the matzah, stuff that free people do. Because when they were left Egypt, they were free people. They ate matzah. Matzah is the food of freedom. It's also the food of slavery at the beginning of the Seder. And then at the end of the Seder, it becomes the food of freedom. The same food changes. We'll see that later on. We're going to do a whole class just on matzah, and why matzah is really the food of the day. And everything about this is represented in that food, the matzah. Okay? Says the Rambam, you display it, you show it, you act it out. And there's many minhagim and customs to do that as well. Third answer is, okay, not you, or actually you is the real you. What's the real you? Your soul, your neshama. Your neshama was there. Your soul was there. Your soul got out. When we say you left Egypt, see something you left Egypt, you're tapping into the original soul, because every soul was actually at Yetzias Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf, and Har Sinai. How can it be? Because every soul was present. There are 600,000 souls, in reality, which have been spread out through Jewish history, and our souls were there. Okay? And that's the Nesiva Shalom, and the Midrash, and the Kabbalah speak about it. Okay? That was number 3. Number 4 is Rashi, which we didn't bring down, but it's kind of mentioned over here. Rashi says, you're free. You left Egypt. Why? Because your ancestors left. So you can actually be thankful that you left as well. Because had they not left, you'd still be there. And then we said Rabbi Schwab, who says, no. You don't understand what the Jewish people. The Jewish people are one. They left, you left. Right? That's the birth of our people. We are nearing the redemption. It's the same people right through Jewish history that are there. Rabbi Abraham Twersky, in his Haggadah, we've come right to the modern age, he says this mitzvah of Chaya Adam L'Rot Atzmo actually means you have to imagine it. You've got to imagine that your ancestors were being beaten as slaves with whips. Right? You have to imagine, close your eyes. You've got to feel what they were going through. You've got to feel the elation as they left Mitzrayim. And that's why you drink the wine. The wine is actually meant to make you a little bit drunk. Because when you're drunk, you can experience life. Right? You get to experience the real happiness, the joy. That's actually why you drink wine. We're going to talk about the real way to do it is drink wine. Grape juice is not the best way to do it. You should drink red wine. You should get a little bit of a buzz. You should feel the gratitude. You should feel happy. As my Rebbe used to say, by the end of the Seder, you should be a little high. That's what he said to me. Right? So you should feel a little bit of a buzz. It should make you a little bit drunk. You should feel the happiness, the pleasure of it. Right? You should feel it. You should feel yourself leaving with all the hundreds of thousands of other Jews who left Mitzrayim. You should see yourself going through the Yam Suf. You're going to talk about it, experience it. You should see yourself at Har Sinai, sitting on the mountain. You should see Moshe Rabbeinu in your eyes. That's what you should be doing. You should be imagining. The power of imagination is very strong. And this is the purpose of it on Pesach Seder. To actually see it with your own mind's eye.
There's a Rambam.
The Rambam is saying act it out. Twersky, being a psychiatrist, is saying you should imagine it. You should literally, in your mind's eye, you should imagine it. Maybe they're all saying it. Maybe they're all implying it.
Yeah.
They're all imagining it. But he's saying you should literally go through, see it, experience it. Right? When you smell the matzah and all the smells when you drink, you should really be euphorically experiencing it. Yeah.
Does it have to, why does it necessarily have to be wine? Why can't you use something else that helps you get that?
We'll talk about what wine represents. Wine is going to be the way to do it. Red wine, ideally red wine. That's the original drink. There's something about wine, what wine represents for the Jewish people, that it has to be used at Pesach Seder. Yeah.
But you're not supposed to get that drunk like you do on Purim.
No. You shouldn't be getting drunk on Purim, my dear.
No.
But you should get a light. You should still be with it. You can't be like, but you should have a little something. All right. Next class, we shall do an overview of the entire Seder, and we'll do the 15 steps of the Seder itself, and then we'll look at how to make the Seder meaningful from the Jewish sources, and then we're going to talk about children, and why children are such an important part of the Pesach Seder, and why the entire Pesach Seder is in question-answer format. And then in 3 classes' time, we're discussing why wine, and what's up with the number 4.